Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you're reading this because you think you might be one, my advice is close this book right now, believe whatever lie your mom and dad told about your birth, and try to lead a normal life. Being a half-blood is dangerous. It's scary. Most of the time, it gets you killed in painful, nasty ways. But if you recognize yourself in these pages, if you believe something's stirring inside, stop reading immediately. You might be one of us, and once you know that, it's only a matter of time before they sense it too, and they'll come for you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Welcome back to Lost in My Library. My name is Kate, and today I am announcing a read-along. And since our Uncle Rick has just announced that there is going to be a Percy Jackson TV show coming to Disney Plus, I thought this is the best time to announce my read-along that I have been wanting to do for a really long time, and that is the Riordalong, which is just reading Rick Riordan's mythology books. So we're doing, of course, the original Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which consists of 5 books, which are The Lightning Thief, I've got these out of order, Sea of Monsters, Titan's Curse, Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian, which is the original, and we will be reading those. We will be reading the first 2 books of this series, which is The Lightning Thief and Sea of Monsters, next month. And you're like, Caitlin, reading 2 books in 1 month? Are you sure about that? I'm sure. These are middle grade, and Rick Riordan's writing style is very quick, fast reads. They're not super long either. I'm trying to see how long they are. They are like this one's 375 and this one's shorter. So, I mean, his longer books are no longer than 500 something pages. We'll get to those. So, for June, we will be reading The Lightning Thief and The Sea of Monsters. The next month, which is July, we will be reading The Titan's Curse, which is actually my favorite of the series. And we will be reading The Battle of the Labyrinth, which is a lot of people's favorite of the series. So July should be a really good month of reading 2 really equally awesome books. Just saying. And then we get to August, and that is kind of special how we ended up like this. August is the month of Percy Jackson's birthday, and everything leads up to his 16th birthday, which is in The Last Olympian. So, we have now finished the Percy Jackson series, but we will be starting in August, we will be starting the Heroes of Olympus series, which consists of The Lost Hero, which we will be starting in August. Now, these are where it gets chunky. And you're like, Caitlin, didn't the Kane Chronicles first book start before the Heroes of Olympus? I say that, we're reading the Heroes of Olympus series first. We have a method to our madness. Anyways, in September, we will be reading 2 books. We will be reading The Son of Neptune and The Mark of Athena, which makes me really happy. This book ends on a cliffhanger. A really, really big cliffhanger. And I'm slightly being evil with putting this not with the month, with the next following book reading in the same month. So, we're up to September, aren't we? September, we will be reading Son of Neptune, Mark of Athena. Both pretty dang good books. Mark of Athena is my favorite book out of the series, but I have reread House of Hades recently, and I really enjoyed House of Hades, so maybe my opinions have changed. And speaking of House of Hades, in October we will be reading House of Hades, and the last book of the series, The Blood of Olympus. So, both I really enjoyed House of Hades. Blood of Olympus is okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It is what it is. It's the finale. So, that is all. And we end up nice, rounded off with, I gotta put these in order. Rounded off, in October we will be finishing the Heroes of Olympus series. It's kind of daunting to think we're reading these in 3 months, but you can do it. I generally can read these in two days. So, they're very quick. So for starting in the month of November, we will be reading what I consider the most underrated of Rick Riordan's books series, and that is the Kane Chronicles, which include the Red Pyramid and the Throne of Fire, which we will be reading in the month of November. And to round off the year, we will be reading the last book in the series, and that is the Serpent Shadow. I adore this series so much. I am rereading this book series this month, pretty much. And I love this series, and I could reread this all the time. It's such a good series, so underrated. I wish people would read this series. This is why I'm doing this read along, so people will read something that's not Percy Jackson or related to Percy Jackson. These are so good. And so, rounding up the year, we will be talking about the other series that's not Percy Jackson, and that is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series, the first book being The Sword of Summer. I do not own the other books in the series, nor do I own the books in Trials of Apollo, which we will be talking about in just a second. So, Magnus Chase and the Gods of Summer, it is his Norse mythology series. I didn't mention this is his Egyptian mythology series. Heroes of Olympus is a Greek/Roman mythology series, whereas Percy Jackson, of course, is Greek mythology. So the books in this series, which we will be reading this one in December, in January we will be reading The Hammer of Thor and The Ship of the Dead. And that will be rounding up that series. Nice little bow. We are now into our final stretch of books, and that is the Trials of Apollo series, which I know very little about. I assume that it's probably going to be focused on Greek mythology more than Roman mythology, so, because Apollo is his Greek name rather than his Roman. And the months we will be starting that is February. So for February, we will be reading The Hidden Oracle and The Dark Prophecy. And then in March, we will be reading The Burning Maze and The Tyrants' Tomb. And since The Tower of Nero is coming out this November, we will be reading in March The Tower of Nero. And that will round up the entirety of Riordalong. Unless for some reason he comes out with a book like early next year. What? I kind of doubt it. But let's not put it past Rick Riordan to do that. But I kind of doubt there's going to be a book coming early next year for a new series. And that is it. That is the entirety of Rick Riordan's mythology series that we do know about. And this will set us up ready to go when Percy Jackson comes to Disney Plus. I mean, we're not reading all just his stories, but he shows up in quite a bit. So we don't be surprised that he shows up in random books just because he's Percy Jackson, and we all love Percy Jackson. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you join me on this journey of reading all of his mythology series, and I hope you enjoy Rick Riordan as much as I love Rick Riordan. I don't think, but he is my favorite author of all time, and I look forward to owning every single book that he has ever written and will ever write. And you're going to be surprised that such a middle grade author that's not talked about enough can surprise you with how diverse, how he deals with problems, and and learns from his mistakes. So if you are a fan of, if you want something diverse with things that aren't necessarily in middle grade, and some of these are questionable about middle grade because some of these, they're older than 16. So, I mean, that's actually walking the line of, well, is this middle grade or is this YA? And I think Rick Riordan gets just wrapped up into middle grade all the time because Percy Jackson is, I would say, is a middle grade story. But I think Heroes of Olympus is more YA than, it has YA characters, but it feels very much middle grade in how it's written, how it's presented, but not necessarily in its story. I think its story is pretty powerful. Now, Kane Chronicles is middle grade. I would put that at middle grade. And then Trials of Apollo. Magnus Chase, I think, would also be teetering into YA as well. And Trials of Apollo, I'm not sure. I think the main character is Apollo, who is like centuries old. So who knows? That might also be teetering into YA as well, even though it reads like a middle grade. So you'll be surprised at what Rick Riordan can do with his characters, and I really, really hope you enjoy them as much as I do. I love all my Rick Riordan books, and I love him a lot. I think he's a really cool writer. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. You'll be hearing about this a lot. Me just gushing about Rick Riordan the entire time. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.